Hi everyone. This little video clip is going to be just to go over some of the rules of exponents. So this is one thing I find tends to confuse a lot of people. So we're just going to run through the rules for exponents, and hopefully that'll kind of help us out as we move along. Alright, so for our exponent rule, our very first exponent rule is that if we have a to the power of m multiplied by a to the power of n. Now notice that these two values are the same. That is the same as us having a to the m plus n. So let's do an example. I'm going to actually do an example two different ways here. So the first way is I'm going to just set the m and the n. So if m is equal to 5 and n is equal to 2. So if that's what I do for my first example, that means that a to the 5 multiplied by a to the 2 is equal to a to the 5 plus 2, which is equal to a to the 7. Okay, honestly, I can't do this stuff in my head as I'm going along, but if I was to pick if I was to make a 10, for example, so let's say a is equal to 10. So now if I have 10 to the 5 times 10 to the 2, that's going to equal, according to this rule, 10 to the 5 plus 2, which is going to equal 10 to the 7. Now, if I break this out a little bit, 10 to the 5 is going to be 1, 2, multiplied by 100, and that's going to equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right. And 10 to the 7, oddly enough, if we were to punch it into something, will be the same thing. So those values will actually work out. The hardest part with dealing with this, or with exponents in general, is that the numbers get really big. So normally, the reason we want to do it, do what we're doing, is just so we can work with this top part here. Because, well, you'll see as we move along. Alright, so our next rule is that a to the m over a to the n is equal to a to the m minus n. So this time I'm only going to do it with the m and the n set up. So if I again use 5 and 2, so a to the 5 over a to the 2 is going to equal a to the 5 minus 2, which is going to equal a to the 3. Oops. Now, if I bring my exponent to an exponent, so if I have a to the m all brought to the n, that is going to equal a to the m n. So that, we use the same example, m equals 5, n equals 2. So a to the 5 all brought to the 2. That's going to equal a to the 5 times 2, which is going to equal a to the 10. And if you think about what a to the 5 to the power of 2 is, that's actually a to the 5 times a to the 5. And if we go back and look at our previous rule, the a to the n times a to the n, that'll be 5 plus 5, which will give us our 10. So you can see how the rules kind of all filter back on top of each other. Alright, next example is going, and rule will be a b to the n. That is the same as a to the n, b to the n. In this particular case, you can kind of think of it as being like this. So ab to the n is equal to, or ab to the power of n is the same as a to the n times b to the n. Showing an example that's not really going to help you all that much. Can I think of something to do there? Not really. Let's say n is 2, and let's say a is 5 and b is 4. Gotta keep with numbers I can deal with in my head here. So I have 5 times that's equals it 4 all to the power of 2. So according to our rule, that's the same as us saying that we have 5 to the power of 2 times 4 to the power of 2, which will be 25 times 16, and whatever that happens to equal, it should be 400, I believe. I hope. Now, on this side, I have 5 times 4 is 20 to the power of 2. 20 times 20 is going to give me 400. So you can see that the values actually did match, and I apparently did do my math right in my head. Awesome. Alright, now for our last example. And that's going to be if I have a over b all to the power of n, that's equal to a to the n over b to the n. So if I was to say I had, let's say n is 2 again, what do I have? A is equal to 5 and b is equal to 4. That's what I used last time. That's what I'll use this time. So that's going to be 5 over 4 to the power of 2 is equal to 5 to the 2 over 4 to the 2, which is equal to 25 over 16, and I don't think we can actually break that down that much further. Let's see if that makes sense as we break this one out now. So that's going to be the same as 5 over 4 times 5 over 4, which is 25 over 16. So again, you can see how the rules play out. All this stuff becomes really important again, as I mentioned even in the last video, for how we start to simplify more complex things as we move along in our course. Again, I hope this helps you guys out, and I guess I'll talk to you all later. Bye for now.